Hello, everybody, and welcome to Equality and Diversity in the Music Industry with Music Industry Insights Worldwide, Volume 2, Episode 8. And today we have the amazing Shilpa with us. Hi, Shilpa, how are you?
Hello, I'm doing so well. Thank you so much for having me here, Saskia.
Oh, thanks for coming along. You've been super busy. You've been doing so many things in the music industry. So tell us, what have you been doing and where are you from?
All right, so my name is Shilpa Ananth, as you mentioned, and I am an Indian singer, songwriter, performing artist from Kerala in India, which is a state in the south of India. And I grew up in the UAE, so I actually grew up in Dubai. My childhood and upbringing, everything was there. So my parents actually introduced me to music at a very young age. I was 3 years old when I was first, using my voice as an instrument. Started studying classical Carnatic music as my first kind of foray into music, and then once I was a teenager, I realized I wanted to see what else is out there, like see other styles of music and listen to other worlds. And I started listening to a lot of jazz and pop at the same time, and a little bit of rock as well, influences from my elder brother. And fell in love with Ella Fitzgerald, Nora Jones, Nina Simone, Michael Jackson. So it was so many influences as a young child, and that was when I started kind of working on music. Working on music also as a medium of expression for myself. I started competing in competitions and doing a lot of bands and getting into like groups and singing groups and stuff like that. So oops. So yeah, so basically, it's been a long and beautiful journey with music from a very young age, and it had then finally led me to land up in Berklee College of Music in Boston to study music. Yeah, so it was like a situation where I knew I wanted to go there. I knew I wanted to be a musician, but it took me a while it took me a different route. It took me a while to get there just because once I finished my high school in Dubai, I went to study in India, because I knew that if I could handle myself there, I could handle myself anywhere in the world. And I wanted to prove to myself as well as to my parents that I was responsible, that I could manage myself, I could take care of my finances, my life, and that I could manage if I had to move to the US. So I studied media communications and psychology. That was my first degree in India, in Bangalore. And once I completed that, I found out that Berklee College of Music was coming to do auditions. I auditioned, and then a month later found out that I had got a scholarship as well as accepted to the school. And then it took me a very long time, like more than a year, to convince my family to let me go. But eventually, I moved to the US, studied in Boston at Berklee, then moved to New York, lived there and worked as a professional artist, hustled, worked many different jobs on the side. Had to take on many different identities just to be able to survive, as one does in New York if you're an artist. But it made me stronger. It made me understand what I wanted for myself, and all of that has led to my story as well. It has fed into my music, into my lyrics. So I write original music. I mix it with R&B, jazz, soul flavors, as well as mixing different languages from India, Hindi, Tamil, Malayalam with English. So it's a huge, like, I don't know, a
It's like,
very, yeah, fusion
yeah.
of flavor. Exactly, exactly. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm now in the UAE. I came back here, got stuck here during pandemic, just fateful turn of events. Was visiting my parents and then ended up back here. And it's been 3 years now, but been working on music still performing, still doing what I need to do, teaching music as well. And Berkeley opened a campus here in Abu Dhabi, so I ended up just applying and then got the job as a music educator. So life has been crazy and very beautiful, and at the same time fulfilling, chaotic, and very much an evolution through music, as well as an artist, as a person, as a woman, um, as a spiritual being.
Great. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about how long have you been in the music and entertainment industries? How long have you done that for? And what kind of skills and experience have you had, like educationally?
So basically, I have been performing and writing music and singing for the past 8 years, I would say. Yeah, I would say 8 years it's been, like, formally, because before that I was performing, but I guess it wasn't yet clear in my head that this is who I am, this is what I want to do. It was still like, well, I'm doing everything, and it was kind of like my passion, but a passionate hobby in a way. So I kind of can't call those days when I was in college in India or in high school when I was still competing and performing as my musician days. I would say a professional artist for the past 8 years. Going to be 9 years this year. So yeah, and I think you asked me about my educational qualification. So basically, I was kind of also teaching while I was in New York. It was one of my side hustles as an artist, and it was great because it allowed me to not only understand what I had learned at Berklee a lot better, but at the same time, I have this inherent need to use my talent to use my skill to help people. So teaching has always been in my blood. Even as a child, I would be the one, if my younger cousin came from school and she's like, can you please help me with my homework, I'd be the one to basically learn everything, read everything, and then teach. And the
Lovely.
same thing, even in school and college, anytime we had study parties, they would just expect, my friends would just expect that I would have studied everything and then teach them.
Oh, that's
So
beautiful.
yeah, that's been a part of my, I think my blood since I was very young. And then, as I said, when I moved back here to the UAE, it was a fateful turn of events while visiting family, sure, but it turned out to be a blessing because I ended up teaching. Now I'm teaching at my alma mater, and it's been wonderful. So wonderful that I'm still here. Supposed
Congratulations.
to get back on that flight to New York, never did.
Well, congratulations. I think it's about following your passions. Like you said, it's about passion, determination, and just following your heart. Um,
Absolutely.
so what kind of challenges and barriers have you faced personally as a woman, an underrepresented woman, someone that's found it difficult to navigate their path? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. I think for me, it has been challenging at almost every turn, just because whether I am here in the UAE, whether I'm in the US, whether I'm in India, there's always going to be this sense of, I think, especially in my situation, because I consider myself a third culture kid, not having grown up in India, but at the same time having those roots, having the tradition, at the same time being very forward thinking and very much like, no, not going to follow the patriarchy, not going to follow the system, not going to follow the traditions that hold a woman down, but so going to find my own path. But at the same time, I do hold the things that I consider my roots. They are close to me, so my Indian roots are very much strong, and I find a way to empower myself through this. But at the same time, it has been very challenging because I always have the sense that I don't belong anywhere. I am here, I don't belong in the UAE. I'm in the US, but I'm not American. I'm not Arab. When I'm in India, I haven't lived there enough, or I wasn't born there. So sometimes, there's this kind of like, oh, you're an outsider. You're not, maybe not considered one of us, or kind of there's this sense of distance, from the local community sometimes, not always. And I think definitely had to have to work through these things. And there are times when I've just been like, okay, I'm just gonna have to accept this because this is my reality. And I think now in the US, I hate this, but there's this trend for South Asians at this moment. So I feel like now we're seeing more representation on screen, and there's just more brown people being shown a lot of appreciation and love on social media, and more opportunities, and just more inclusivity, and um, and just a lot more equality for women, but also equality in terms of a woman who is also an artist, who is also in a country that's not of her own. So I've always had this feeling that even if I am talented, even if I am the right person for the job, I have the right experience, or you know the background, whatever it is, but I will be overlooked just because of everything I just said, which is that I'm not this or I'm not that. I am, neither here nor there in a way. So that has always, I accepted it for a long time, but now as I'm getting older, I'm fighting, pushing back a lot more, and trying to, look at opportunities, but not wait for the opportunity, create my own opportunities, so that I'm not waiting for someone to, like, waiting to win something, but more like I win by creating it for myself.
Totally agree with you on that. I think, and thank you for sharing that as well. That was such an amazing point that you shared with everybody. I think it's about understanding yourself, what you've got
Yeah.
to give. If someone's not going to give you an opportunity and you don't quite understand yourself or others around you don't understand you, create your
True.
own lane and people will find you. Because I think that's what I've had to do as well. And that's
Yes.
something that's really touched my heart today, just from listening to what you've been through, where you're from, and the kind
Yeah.
of identities and countries and cultures that you
Yeah.
take on board and you learn from and you absorb them. And sometimes you get a little bit lost on it's not about who you are, where you're from. It's about
Yeah.
your heart and your soul. And I think if you're a universal person, I think it's about appealing to as many people as you can that
Absolutely.
resonate with you and your soul and your spirit. And that's really special. And
Yeah.
that's one of the first times I've heard someone say that, actually. You know, so
Wow.
thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for, for your kindness as well, because I feel sometimes, we're speaking, but it's not always possible that each can understand the other, or even if sometimes we're speaking the same language, but to really understand it and feel it, that is a whole other connection, or a whole other, when you're transcending that language, transcending, we're transcending experience right now. So I appreciate you also for understanding.
Thank you so much. And I think music's all about emotion and expression. So, how has that
Absolutely.
affected you in your career in the music industry?
Sorry, what was the question again?
How has that affected you and your career in the music industry?
What has?
How has the kind of way people have treated you,
Uh-huh.
how has that affected your own personal feelings and thoughts and your career
Absolutely.
in the music industry?
Absolutely. So for me, the thing is, there are good and bad experiences, right? So I feel in terms of, if I'm going for the negative side of things, it has definitely put me on a path where I think as an artist, we already, we feel so much, we're sensitive. In a day where social media is ruling our careers, I think it can be very damaging when you're comparing yourself to your peers or to other artists, and you see followers are different, or the numbers of subscribers or listeners, everything is so down to numbers these days, not the quality. You could be buying those, but it's gonna look like, authentic. And I think, so a lot of the time I do think, if I'm going for the negative side of the experience, I would say it's tough, when that is given so much importance, and then people are kind of putting you in a box of like, oh, like, even because the thing is, I am such a fusion person myself, or like a very much, all flavors, all these cultures that are within me, all these languages that are within me, I find a way to also express that, not only through my music, but through my clothes, through the way I cook food, like everything, the way I think. I think in different languages, I dream in different languages. So for me, it has been interesting to, to speak with people and be feel like I have to fit into their box in order to be accepted for a performance, or to be seen in a specific way for the opportunity. Or if it's a venue booking agent, then you kind of have to adhere to their, like, okay, you're saying you do jazz, you're saying you do Indian music, so can you just do jazz? I mean, this, we're not looking for the Indian side of things. So I feel like I've had to really adapt myself a lot in the beginning of my career to, especially while being in New York, to be able to at least be heard. So that took a lot out of me psychologically. Like, it was mentally exhausting, because I'm just like, already as an artist, we're so much like in self doubt, and we have imposter syndrome, and we feel like we're not good enough, and we have parents that might not be as supportive as we wish they were. And so it can already be, in your mind that, like, oh my God, is this song my best song? And am I ever going to write another good song again? Or will I ever actually write a song? Like, so all these kind of, thoughts and feelings. And then you have people also on top of that, kind of, being on top of you, trying to make you feel like you're not enough, or you have that, constant kind of, I think that can be that, if we're not careful, it just seeps into your unconscious, that you are, are not special. So I think that has definitely affected me, and still continues to affect me, because I'm human after all. And as much as I've worked on myself and my artistry and my mind, I think that, uh, it's not possible to escape from it when we're in this day and age of being so interconnected yet so disconnected. It's so opposite the way things are. So I think it's been quite a journey of like finding my strength, finding what works for me, and letting go of the other things, and kind of making my peace that people, that is their problem. There's the people. Let them think that way. I can't control that. What can I do, you know?
Amazing advice, Shilpa. Thank you so much. Shilpa,
Yeah.
there's so much like personal advice, like intimate advice that I think only people that have gone through something, that have experienced something could share. That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And so tell us a little bit more about your feelings and thoughts of equality, diversity, and inclusion in the music industry.
Like in very few words, I feel there can be so much more to be done. I think there's still room for growth, for women to come and take up space. At this point, I think we're still, I mean, I know that in the US, maybe, situation is slightly different. There's more empowerment being, like sought after, as well also I feel like in the UK as well. I think like they've come a long way. So they've already been through some of the things that I mean, as someone who is now living in this side of the world, close to Asia, in the Middle East, I feel I'm not seeing that as much as yet. So a lot of catching up to do, and I hope that within the next few years, I would say within the next, I want to say that within the next 5 to 7 years, I hope to see more women just in the forefront, given better opportunities, able to take on roles or leading positions that are considered male dominant at the moment. And, um, I don't understand where that even comes from, that, but it's such a stereotype when they see a woman behind a mixing board or a sound station or anywhere, where there's this automatic assumption I see from people that, oh, like, oh, the sound's not going to be that great, or you know what, like, I think we want to, so I think it's like so ingrained that I would like to see that mentality change. I want to see, um, I just want to see more women winning, as well as not doubting ourselves. Because I think sometimes it's not even, it's just the fact that we're, there's a lack of self confidence, or maybe there's this lack of space to also grow and feel confident enough in our skills. But men, I feel sometimes that even if they're not, maybe not qualified or not good at it, they'll just go for it. You know what I mean? So, and then they just learn on the job. And I think like more women, I want us to just feel more empowered to just take the position and then get the experience. We don't have to know everything. We don't have to be perfect.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
can just, this is a journey of not only breaking those ceilings for ourselves, but every time I see something broken that way and I see the woman before me, it makes me feel hope. It makes me feel inspired that it's possible for me,
Yes.
and that in turn is doing that for someone else. And so we got to keep that energy flow. We got to keep, I always think of this analogy where, if a woman has taken that elevator and she's somehow made it all the way to the top, like just pressed every button and made all the way, now it's your responsibility to send that elevator down to the next person or the next few people, so that the rest of us can also be up there, or, help others. So that's how we keep that cycle going. And I hope to see more equality, more diversity, more inclusion of women, of people who identify as women, in the music industry. And I do see some changes happening, maybe not fast enough, and hopefully not as a trend, because I hate these trends that come and go, where we're so hot for a moment and then next minute you're like,
Disappears.
oh,
Yeah,
exactly, it's
I don't
something
want to do
else.
that. No.
Exactly. Something consistent, something long term, and something that really, also, recognizes us for who we are, the goddesses that we are, what we can do, what we are capable of. There's no species like us, so there's no reason why we shouldn't be up there.
That's right. Thank you so much. So tell us a little bit more about do you think like cultural and age differences have an impact on our movement, what we're trying to achieve? What do you think on that?
Definitely, definitely. I think that, who I am right now and how I think and how strong of a person and spirit I am, I think this is not who I was even 5 years ago. And maybe 5 years later, I'll be in a different position and I'll, be thinking back to this moment and wondering, what was I doing and why was I not doing this faster or whatever. So I think that it takes time. Definitely, age plays a huge part in it. Sometimes, it helps if you have a mentor, but I think, especially as someone who, as an artist, if you're coming from a background where nobody in your family does this, it's not like I can just go to my uncle or my aunt or my dad or my mom or my brother and be like, because nobody is a musician, a professional musician in my family, and it's all doctors and engineers and lawyers and bankers, and so the issue is that it helps to have people to kind of guide you, but if you don't have that, it just means it'll take longer, and that's why there's certain places or things or thing just you know situations that I wish I had learned about earlier or hadn't had to go through in order to get to the other side. But I think even though it takes more time, I'd rather not take any shortcuts. I'd rather do it the right way, go through that struggle, and then earn my spot. And I would want everyone to, go through that. But at the same time, if I can help someone not do have a shortcut, but if I can help someone just not have to go through all the struggle, but they will go through their own regardless. So if I can help someone get somewhere a little bit quicker or a little bit less stressed out, then I'm always ready for that. But I think it takes time, and cultural background plays a huge part in it because especially like I feel as a South Asian woman, as an Indian woman, I was not raised to be a free thinker or to be empowered or to, it was more like I'm a rebellious person and I go after what I want and I'm very specific about who I am and what I wish. So I've been this way since I was a child. So, but I see a lot of women in my culture just giving up on their dreams, not even realizing that they can dream, just going for what the parents say or what society says they should do, and kind of going through the path of like, okay, well, from here to here to here to there, and baby and house and a car and a graveyard, and I don't know, this is not my life.
Got very nice words of wisdom that you're sharing with everybody. And I think that's fantastic. Everything
Yeah,
you've with us today, I can really relate to it. Like,
absolutely.
how has that affected your mental health? How has that affected your career and how you feel about yourself?
I mean, it's taken me, as I said, like a lot of work, a good amount of therapy as well. I am also very much into psychology. I studied psychology when I was in college and in high school. So I have this like real, I really like, I'm very connected to my mind myself, as well as learning more about other people and why I'm affected or why they are affected. Like all of these things, I'm constantly thinking and like thinking from different points of view and trying to also see how I can have dealt with something differently and how I can be better the next time, and how can I manage to not let this affect me this much, in the future. So I think, as I said, like coming from my cultural background, it can be very difficult because there's this sense of like, keep your mouth shut, just put your head down, go through life, don't make any waves, like nobody cares, just live your life quietly and just serve the people. This is your duty as a woman, as a, if you were a mother or a wife, this is who you are. So I think that like, for me, it has taken a lot to let go of these things that have these systems in place that are only meant to inhibit us, to hold us back, to make us feel less than, or to make us feel like we're not good enough to get what we actually want. We have to kind of settle because that's just what's expected. And if we do anything against that, and let's say God forbid it doesn't go well, then there's this like immediate like, aha, like I told you so, like why did you dare think you could dream? Just could have done the easy thing and you'd be good by now, you'd be set by now, so I've had to really deal with that since I was very young because my poor parents, I love them to bits, and they support me the best that they know how, and that they are emotionally capable of how much they are able to give me. But like the person that I am, it's always clashing with certain ideals because, and they're just they've done their best, but I think it's been hard for me to also, get to where I am today, because it has taken a lot for me to just be like, this is who I am, please let me live my life and accept me as I am. And I need to stop chasing your approval, and I need to be who I am meant to be. And please support me. If not, you can't be a part of my life. I love you.
This has been fantastic. Tell us a little bit more about, have you seen role models on representation? How has that affected you as well? Like, do you see people you can look up to in what you're doing and see people like yourselves, like
Yeah.
representing?
I think nowadays I'm seeing more and more. Like I said, I hope it's not a trend. I hope it's that we're actually taking up space and here to stay. So I'm seeing more and more brown girls, brown artists, or just in the forefront, really leading projects, or being able to like create and also still be able to manage, multitask, and do everything else. Not that like we have to choose one or the other. So I am seeing so much more, and I am influenced far more than I was as a child. I think as a child, I was seeing, I think I was seeing more male role models and trying to see, okay, well, if they're in a position of power, like trying to see their characteristics, their traits, what led them to that point, and being influenced by that, if it was from my culture, because I didn't see too many women really doing what I was doing, or kind of leading anything in a way that made me feel like, okay, that's who I want to be, and that's the person I like want to strive to become or something. So I think growing up, that was very difficult. I'm seeing more of it now, and that's very much something that gives me hope and helps me also continue on my path, especially when those days are tough and your mind is telling you otherwise, and you feel like you don't know why you're doing what you do, but you gotta go move on and
Yeah.
keep going forward. Yeah. So I think now it's more prominent, and I'm finding more influences. There's Mindy Kaling and Purna Jagannath, like all of these incredible actors slash producer slash director slash storytellers. Like, so I'm seeing more of these, powerhouse women that I'm feeling more inspired by. Priya Raghu is one of my favorite artists as well, vocalist and producer. She's also coming up right now, and I feel there are these people that I'm definitely feeling connected to. But growing up, it was I was mostly seeing people from the West, so I was like, oh, like how did Ella Fitzgerald, if she can sing like that, and like we know the adversity that Black people face on a daily basis, and so I more than my own experience, I felt that experience sometimes, and I was like, well, they've gone through this much, and if they are able to still continue making music or being their highest, most powerful selves, then why not me, like, so I think from a young age, even though the influences were less, it was a very strong sense of self and sense of that I'm meant for something greater. I think that influenced me more than actual people, because there were not that many to really be inspired by at the time.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks for sharing that. And I think someone that's multiracial myself and that experiences challenges with acceptance, understanding where I'm from, where I fit in the world, having a voice, you know,
Yes.
I'm
Mhm.
also suffering from dyslexia and mental health problems as well, PTSD. I
Oh
think
my
all
God.
the things you've shared as well, have been super important. And that's part of the music industry, isn't it? I think we've all had some struggles or some issues, and it's all
Absolutely.
about community and finding a purpose. How has that helped you in how you feel?
Honestly, the community is the only thing that keeps us going. And for me personally, when I was living in New York, whether it was Brooklyn or in Boston, when I was at Berklee, or whether it's now that I'm here in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi and Dubai, the musician community, I feel we are a very an artist community. I feel it's a very uh, close bunch of people, because I think we all kind of understand, we've gone through so much of just adversity and challenge, and like so many different stories, when regardless of where you come from, it's all similar in a sense of like, okay, was not supported, and at an early age in the way that I wish I were, and now I'm working on healing my inner child and becoming the best musician or best artist I can ever be. And so I think for me, the community has helped a lot because without it, I don't think I could have done what I do now in the way that I do it, because these struggles that we face, they're not easy, to really like to understand and to also be able to just communicate to any random person. Like it, yeah, it has to be someone who has gone through something similar so that they can actually have space for you and you can have space for them when they share their problems or their whatever insecurity, shortcoming, doubts with you. So I think, yeah, there's no doubt that without the strong sense of the artist community, there would be no me. So, and I hope that I'm that for someone else as well, part of, this higher circle.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Shilpa. This interview has been so inspirational, amazing, and I've even learned so much just from listening to you. Feel kind of sorry, my emails keep going. I feel kind of like a bit because I resonate so much with your story and what you've had to say. Thank you. And I just want to ask you, could you share some of your major successes and wins and what you're up to at the moment in the music industry and your handles so other people could follow you?
Absolutely, absolutely. So far it's been like a huge, and crazy journey. It's gone all over the place. I've been nominated for 2 Grammys. Nominated, not yet won. One day I will win, but nominated through other projects that I've been in, and performed at really cool places like the Blue Note Jazz Club or the Apollo Music Theater in New York, and also beautiful festivals out here in the UAE. Thank you, and in India as well. And this year, I'm actually hoping to release my new EP of music, the second one, that I'm planning to release. It's called Reproduction, and it's hopefully coming out in the fall of 2023 this year. So I've been already releasing songs. Yes, fingers crossed. I've already been releasing songs from it. So there's music on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube. You can find me on Instagram. Everywhere it's the same name, Shilpa Ananth, ShilpaAnanth. So very much available in all spaces, TikTok, yeah, Spotify,
I'll
YouTube,
share all of
Instagram.
that in the description with your bio and all of your links. I'm sorry for everyone if I've had a few pronunciation problems because of my dyslexia, and sometimes I'm trying to read the links and everything else at the same time. So I
Oh,
apologize
no.
for that. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on the show, and I've learned so much. And this is going to come out soon. So thank you very much for taking part in the show and sharing your experiences with us.
Thank you, Saskia. Thank you so much. Honestly, it's been such a long day, as I was telling you already. We're running around doing many different projects, and I'm so happy that this is how my day is ending. It's ending with you and with all our listeners, and I mean,
Oh, that's so
life is amazing. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm glad to be here, and thank you for having me, really.
you all the best in everything you're doing. And I'm
Yes,
sure I'll speak again with you soon.
absolutely. Talk to you
Yeah,
soon.
all the best and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Saskia. Bye. See you.